When the governor's daughter stayed seated as Judge Judy walked into the courtroom, most people shrugged it off as just one more entitled stunt. Nobody in that room realized they were seconds away from one of the wildest courtroom meltdowns ever caught on camera. What started as a careless smirk would spiral into leaked texts, a former best friend turning on her, and secrets sharp enough to rattle her entire family name. Judge Judy didn't just confront Cassandra Bell. She peeled her apart layer by stubborn layer, and the moment that left everyone completely stunned, it still hadn't happened yet. The ending of this story hits in an emotional way you will not see coming. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments where are you watching from, and hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The chair did not move, not even a fraction. Judge Judy entered, the courtroom rose like a wave. Except for one girl. She stayed seated, legs crossed, eyes fixed straight ahead as if the whole world was her personal stage. The governor's daughter didn't stand, she simply smiled. The room tightened around that smile, the air seemed to collect between her and the bench, two storms lining each other up. Phones lowered, pens froze mid-note, even the bailiff paused halfway through a step, unsure whether to clear his throat or stay perfectly still. Judge Judy didn't react, not visibly. She walked to the bench with the measured calm of someone who already knows exactly how the story ends. Her robe whispered as she sat, her gaze never once breaking from the girl in the third row. There was no rage in that stare, only intention, like a surgeon deciding where to make the first cut. The girl Cassandra Bell, daughter of Governor Lionel Bell, leaned back as if Judy's gaze were a game she was already winning. Her fitted black blazer gleamed under the courtroom lights, a little too polished for someone claiming to be the victim. One hand rested on a designer bag, the other drummed a careless rhythm on the armrest, more arrogance than nerves. Across the aisle, the victim, a young cafe worker named Danny, held a folder pressed tight to her stomach like a life jacket. The corners were crumpled from how hard she'd been gripping it. Her eyes flickered between Judge Judy and Cassandra, unable to decide which was more frightening, Judy's silence or Cassandra's smile. "Let us begin," Judge Judy said, her voice calm but edged with steel. Cameras refocused, lenses subtly shifting to frame her face. They sensed there was something in her restraint, something worth catching. "Ms. Bell, I will address you later. For now, we deal with the matter in front of us." Cassandra let out a dramatic sigh loud enough for every mic to pick up. A ripple of unease moved through the gallery. Her disdain wasn't hidden, she wore it like jewelry. Danny's voice shook as she walked through what happened, how a spilled drink, a bump, and a simple apology had turned into a memory she couldn't escape. How Cassandra had berated her, knocked items off the counter, refused to pay, and walked out like nothing and no one mattered but her schedule. Judge Judy listened, not a blink wasted. When Danny finished, Judy slowly turned her head toward Cassandra, that same unreadable composure fixed in place. "Ms. Bell, you'll have your chance to respond, but before we move forward." Her voice dipped lower, and the entire room leaned in together. Judy's gaze sharpened, cutting straight through the polished armor Cassandra had built around herself. "You stayed seated when I entered." Cassandra raised her chin. "I don't stand for people who work for my father's administration." The gasp that followed wasn't small, it cracked across the room. Danny's fingers cinched tighter around her folder. Even Cassandra seemed to realize, a second too late, how loud those words sounded when spoken out loud. Judge Judy didn't flinch, her eyes narrowed the way distant storms seemed to narrow the sky. "Tell me, Ms. Bell," she said, her voice quiet but every syllable dropping like a gavel. "Are you refusing to stand or refusing to respect yourself?" A beat of silence stretched, electric and painful. Cassandra's smirk slipped barely, but in a room that tense everyone felt it, the first tiny crack in her certainty. Something in the air shifted, something was coming. Her chair scraped sharply as she leaned forward, eyes flashing, jaw jutting out. "Do you know who my father is?" she said, not as a question, as a verdict she assumed could silence the room. It didn't. The gallery stiffened. Some people leaned back as if trying not to get scorched by the heat of her entitlement. Others leaned in, unable to look away, watching arrogance walk itself right up to the edge. The bailiff tightened his stance, hands folded behind his back, gaze locked on Judge Judy. Even he could see lines were being crossed faster than they could be drawn. Judy didn't blink. She allowed Cassandra's words to hang in the air, heavy, uncomfortable, undeniable. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it pressed in from all sides. I have a very clear idea, Judy said at last, tone even, but unless your father is sitting in that chair, he is not part of this case. Cassandra scoffed, not a nervous chuckle. No, a full, dismissive burst like the entire courtroom was simply cute in its attempt at authority, her arms locked over her chest, her foot tapped. Every gesture practically begged the cameras to document her superiority. Danny watched from her seat, hands shaking slightly around the folder. The humiliation from the cafe flickered through her eyes. It wasn't fear this time, just the echo of a moment she wished she could erase. We're here, Judge Judy continued, her eyes narrowing just a fraction, because of a civil matter involving damages and your conduct. Her gavel tapped once, soft but sharp enough to slice Cassandra's smirk in half. Your last name is not testifying today, you are. A rumble of whispers swept across the gallery. For the first time, Cassandra's posture faltered, only a fraction but enough. She caught herself, straightened, rolled her eyes with an exaggerated sigh. Fine, she snapped, but this is ridiculous. The staff provoked me, they were rude, disrespectful. Disrespect, Judy repeated slowly, tasting the word. She tilted her head. Show me. Cassandra frowned. Show you what? The disrespect, Judy said calmly. The behavior so offensive it justified you shoving items off a counter and refusing to pay for the damage. Silence again, thick, waiting. Cassandra shifted, hunting for the version of events she'd rehearsed, the one where her title wrapped her like bubble wrap. It was their tone, she said finally. They talked to me like I was nobody. Nobody, Judge Judy echoed softly. And what exactly does nobody sound like? The question hit harder than any shouted accusation could have. Cassandra inhaled sharply, rattled by how fast her own words had turned on her. Before she could twist out a reply, Judy lifted her hand. Actually, she said, voice cool and controlled, let's allow the evidence to speak for itself. She gave a brief nod to the clerk. A thick, stamped file was placed on her desk with a weight that seemed to echo. Inside, surveillance footage Cassandra had been certain would never see the light of day. Judge Judy tapped the folder once, her gaze sharpening. Ms. Brell, she said, shall we watch? The monitor flickered. Even before the video loaded, Cassandra was already shaking her head. No, absolutely not, this is out of context, she muttered, panic threading through every word. But the courtroom was already leaning forward. The lights dimmed slightly as the clerk pressed play. A cool blue wash from the screen stretched across Cassandra's face, revealing every crack she was trying desperately to hide. The footage hissed to life, grainy, ordinary, damning. There she was, Cassandra Brell in the cafe's overhead camera, perfectly styled, impatience rolling off her like heat. The video showed her tapping her nails on the counter, each tap sharper, meaner. Danny appeared on screen, gentle, smiling, offering a drink with the practiced kindness of someone used to long shifts and difficult people. Then there it was. The spill, a minor splash, an honest mistake. And Cassandra's face changed. In the courtroom, the real Cassandra tensed, gripping the arms of her chair as if she could physically hold herself in place. On the monitor, she slapped the cup away. Liquid exploded across the counter. Gasps burst from the gallery as she shoved napkins from the stand, her mouth forming words the mic didn't even need to pick up. Her anger was in every gesture, every sharp, jerking movement. In real time, Cassandra's jaw locked. They provoked me, she hissed under her breath. Judge Judy raised one finger, not a shush, not a threat, a warning. The video rolled on. On screen, Danny kept apologizing, shoulders folding, hands trying to clean the mess while her smile fought to stay alive. Cassandra knocked the tip jar to the floor. Coins scattered, her expression cold, satisfied, needed no audio at all. Judy froze the image on that smirk. Cassandra looked away instantly. Ms. Brell, Judy said quietly, leaning back, her hands folding. Is that how someone treated unfairly behaves? Cassandra exhaled, sharp and defensive. You're only seeing one angle, she snapped. She talked back to me. Danny's voice finally broke through, trembling but clear. I just said I was sorry, she whispered. Her hands twisted together in her lap. The cameras turned to her, catching the raw, unedited truth in her eyes. The spectators softened. Her pain, once private, now filled the entire room. Cassandra rolled her eyes again, but the power behind it had slipped. People say sorry all the time, it doesn't mean anything. Judy's brows rose, slicing the air like a razor. And what should she have done instead? Thank you for throwing the cup at her. A wave of low voices rippled through the gallery. This is ridiculous, Cassandra snapped, her voice cracked, the edge more fear than fury now. Judy didn't raise her volume, she simply pressed the remote again. The smirk on the screen deepened. In the courtroom, Cassandra swallowed hard. Interesting, Judy murmured, each time we press play your story gets weaker. She zoomed in slowly, deliberately, until that smug expression filled the entire monitor. Let's take a closer look, she said, and see what exactly you were thinking in this moment. The zoom tightened until Cassandra's smirk dominated the frame, an accusation all on its own. The room collectively held its breath. Cassandra, once unshakable, finally turned her face away. Judge Judy didn't need to shout. Her quiet was powerful enough to lock the room into perfect stillness. She tapped the screen lightly, the sound echoing. Ms. Brell, she asked, does that look like the face of someone being mistreated? Cassandra opened her mouth and shut it again. A flicker of panic flashed across her features, small but unmistakable. The polished mask built from privilege and immunity had started to fracture. I told you, she whispered, trying to summon confidence she no longer felt. She disrespected me. Judy tilted her head, studying her like a puzzle with one piece finally falling into place. If this young woman truly disrespected you, she asked evenly, why do you look so pleased with yourself? The gallery rustled, even the bailiff's stern expression broke for a second in surprise. Cassandra's spine stiffened. I do not have to explain every expression on my face. Good, Judy replied calmly, then explain your actions. Silence. Danny shifted, barely audible when she spoke. I just apologized, that was all. The cameras swung back to her. The tremor in her hands, the way her shoulders rounded in on themselves, said more than any statement. Cassandra snapped. She was rude. She said sorry in that fake tone people use when they think they're better than you. Judy's eyes sharpened. Better than you or simply not afraid of you? Color crawled up Cassandra's neck. You're twisting my words, she shot back. I'm repeating them, Judy said. You're the one twisting yourself. The tension rose like heat off asphalt. Cassandra shifted again, this time less like a queen on a throne and more like someone trapped. Her eyes darted around as if searching for a familiar lens that adored her, a friendly face in the crowd. None appeared. Judy picked up a second document, a slim packet with a clipped corner and an official seal. She didn't open it, not yet. She simply held it between two fingers, letting its existence speak first. Ms. Brell, she said slowly, your version of events is growing less and less consistent. That usually means one of two things, either you're mistaken or you're misleading. I'm not lying, Cassandra shot back quickly. Good, Judy replied, because this next document will tell us exactly that. Cassandra's breath snagged. She recognized the seal. She recognized the handwriting on the tab, and her face drained of color before anyone else understood why. Judy laid the document on the desk. Shall we proceed, she asked. Cassandra's eyes widened in horror. She already knew whose sworn statement was inside, and she knew it was not written to save her. The second Cassandra recognized the signature, her security shattered. This wasn't just fear of exposure, it was fear of the person who had exposed her. Her father's aide, who had always covered for her, cleaned up her messes, had finally written something she never thought he would. Judge Judy rested her fingertip lightly on the seal like she was checking the temperature of a live wire. The entire room seemed to lean toward that packet. Even the lights felt sharper, spotlighting the tremor at the edge of Cassandra's mouth. Ms. Bell, Judy began, you told this court the staff provoked you. You said this was a one-time outburst fueled by stress. Cassandra swallowed, eyes bouncing between the document and the faces staring back at her. She tried to straighten her spine, reposition her blazer, control her breathing, but nothing held. Judy opened the packet with a soft rip. This sworn statement, she said, from your father's senior aide outlines a pattern of behavior, multiple incidents, repeated warnings. The courtroom inhaled together. Cassandra's jaw dropped. What? No, that has to be wrong. Judy lifted the first page and began to read slowly, letting every line absorb the thick tension in the air. Quote, in the months preceding the cafe incident, Ms. Brell demonstrated escalating hostility towards service workers, staff, and constituents. Despite numerous interventions, she refused behavioral guidance. End quote. The air felt heavier. He exaggerated, Cassandra burst out. He hates me, he's always been against me. Judy arched a brow. Interesting, considering he also vouched for you in multiple youth political programs. Cassandra froze. The gallery stirred, discomfort tangled with a growing recognition that the facade was caving in. Danny watched quietly now, her shoulders relaxing a little. Every word Judy read seemed to lift one more brick off the weight she'd carried since that day, the weight of thinking you can't fight someone with that much status. Judy went on. The aide further states that Ms. Brell dismissed accountability on several occasions, often saying, and I quote, my father will handle it. Cassandra's breath caught, the exact phrase she never imagined would be written down. That's out of, she cut herself off. Even she knew there was no way to spin her own words. Ms. Bell, Judy said gently, this isn't a personal attack, it's a record. Cassandra's eyes shone with hot, humiliated tears. They're trying to make me look bad. And you, Judy replied, are doing that just fine on your own, they simply documented it. Nobody laughed, no one dared, but something like relief softly moved through the room. Entitlement was finally losing its balance. We're not done, Judy said, placing the statement aside. A quiet knock sounded at the side door. The bailiff stepped in, giving Judy a small nod. Good, Judy said under her breath, bring in the next witness. Cassandra's face went white. Witness who? The door opened with a slow creak. And the silhouette that stepped into the courtroom made Cassandra go completely still. The hinges groaned as the door swung wider and a young woman stepped inside. Not an enemy, not a stranger. Someone who used to know everything. She wore a simple navy blouse and carried nothing but shaky resolve. Her name, Mara Keene, once Cassandra's closest friend, the girl who'd known every version of her, the one person who truly understood who Cassandra was when no one was watching. And now she stood on the opposite side of the courtroom. The gallery reacted instantly, murmurs, shifts, a ripple of electricity. Cassandra's fingers dug into the arms of her chair so hard the material complained. Ms. Keene, come forward, Judge Judy said. Mara walked toward the stand with small, careful steps, each one looking like it cost her something. She didn't glance at Cassandra once. Her focus stayed on Judge Judy like she needed that steadiness to keep going. Mara, what are you doing? Cassandra's voice cracked. You don't belong here. Mara flinched at the sound of her name. Ms. Brell, Judy snapped. Silence. The command cut clean. Cassandra bit down on whatever she was about to say. Her jaw trembled. Once sworn in, Mara's voice barely rose above a whisper. I was contacted because I've watched changes in Cassandra over the last year. Changes? Cassandra scoffed, voice brittle. You're going to act like you care about changes, you abandon me. Under Judy's warning stare, Cassandra slid back in her chair. Mara went on. After her father got into office, she shifted. She stopped listening. She started assuming everyone owed her something. She bragged about being untouchable. You could feel the room stop breathing. That's a lie, Cassandra snapped. You were jealous, you always were. Mara finally turned toward her, not with rage, with a kind of quiet, exhausted sorrow. I was your friend, she said. I wanted you to win, but after a while you didn't want friends anymore, you wanted an audience. That hit harder than the surveillance video did. Cassandra's lip quivered, but pride shoved every softer emotion back down. You're here to ruin me. No, Mara answered softly. I'm here because I watched you ruin yourself and hurt people you never should have hurt. Danny brushed a tear from her cheek. Something in Mara's words threaded straight across the aisle to her. You're just doing this for attention, Cassandra lunged forward. You think this makes you better than me. Judy's gavel cracked once, sharp as thunder. Enough, Ms. Keene, one final question. Judy's tone softened but stayed precise. Why did you end the friendship? The room froze on that question. Mara looked down, tears forming. Because, she whispered, I finally realized what Cassandra had become. She lifted her eyes, voice trembling but honest. If you saw a friend hurting people just to protect her ego, would you stay silent or speak up? Her words hovered there, raw, unfinished. Cassandra stared at her like she was looking at a stranger wearing a familiar face. The courtroom saw something different, truth slowly stripping entitlement bare. Judy leaned back, leaving a gentle opening. The silence felt heavy, almost kind, like the room understood that losing someone you once loved to their own ego is its own grief. We stopped being friends, Mara continued, because every conversation turned into what people owed you, who you could embarrass, who you could impress, who you could control. Her voice shook, but the strength inside it was clear. You used me, Cassandra, for my connections, my favors, my access. Cassandra's eyes flashed, both offended and stunned. That's not true. I helped you, I elevated you. No, Mara said quietly. You hid behind me because I was the only person who told you the truth until you stopped wanting to hear it. The audience shifted again. Even the bailiff swallowed, looking down for a moment, absorbing the emotional wreckage playing out in front of him. Cassandra's shoulders curled inward, anger warring with fear. You could have talked to me, you could have warned me, instead you betrayed me. Ms. Bell, Judy cut in, firm but not cruel. Honesty often feels like betrayal when a person refuses to change. Mara's hands twisted together nervously. The cafe incident didn't shock me, she admitted. You had been spiraling for months. I tried to warn you, I tried to help, but every time you said your father would handle it, that consequences were for people without power. Cassandra flinched, those words hit deeper than any legal point. On the other side, Danny stared down, a single tear slipping onto her wrist. For the first time, she understood that what happened to her wasn't random, it was part of a pattern. You don't understand what it's like to be me, Cassandra whispered, voice breaking. People expect perfection, they expect. No, Mara interrupted softly, people expect decency. Silence fell again. Cassandra's breathing hitched, eyes burning with equal parts humiliation and rage. Judge Judy's pen tapped lightly, a soft reminder that even emotional earthquakes still happen inside legal lines. Ms. Keene, Judy asked, is there anything else relevant to this case? Mara hesitated, then nodded. Yes, a few days before the cafe incident, Cassandra told me she felt people were beneath her now. She said being the governor's daughter meant she never had to apologize again. The gasp this time was sharp. Cassandra slammed her palm onto the table. Stop twisting everything, I never. Her voice broke mid-sentence, the illusion of control tore straight down the middle. Ms. Brell, Judy said quietly, raising her hand, your anger is not helping you. Cassandra sagged back into her chair, chest rising and falling too fast, mascara trembling. Her bubble power name status had started to pop, and she could feel every single tear. Clerk, Judy said, bring in the next set of exhibits. Cassandra stiffened, what exhibits? She hadn't known there was more. Judy lifted a sheet of paper, each line of print neat and damning, subpoenaed phone records, her name in bold. We will continue, Judy said, by reviewing your messages. Judge Judy held the phone records between two fingers. The faint shake in the pages wasn't her hand, it was the energy in the room. Cassandra's face went pale, she knew exactly what those messages said. These texts, Judy explained, laying them down, were sent within 1 hour of the cafe incident. Her voice was soft, the stillness around it that was brutal. Those are private, Cassandra whispered. Truth, Judy replied, rarely stays that way. She lifted the top page. Gasps rolled through the rows. Printed in dark, undeniable letters. I'll put that cafe girl in her place, they should know who they're dealing with. Cassandra's eyes closed, as if not seeing the words would keep the room from reading them. But everyone had already felt them. Danny's hand flew to her mouth, her shoulders shook, the fear, the shame, the validation of hearing proof she'd never imagined she'd get. Judy read the next one. If something goes wrong, my father will fix it, no consequences for me. The gallery went still, somewhere someone whispered, oh my God. Even the bailiff's arms tensed across his chest. They were jokes, Cassandra blurted, just jokes, you're all taking this the wrong way. Is that so? Judy asked, one brow lifting. Yes, Cassandra insisted. People exaggerate in texts, everyone talks big, it doesn't mean anything. Judy placed the pages down, folding her hands, her tone turning surgical. Then explain this one. She picked up a final sheet. The one Cassandra never wanted anyone to see. Cassandra's breath faltered, Danny leaned forward without realizing, the room seemed to shrink around them. Judy read clearly slowly. I could break her if I wanted, Dad's position makes me untouchable. Silence, not the empty kind, the kind that feels heavy on your lungs. Cassandra shook her head, frantic. No, that wasn't serious, I was venting, you don't understand the pressure I'm under. Pressure, Judy replied, eyes steady, does not justify cruelty. Everyone expects something from me, Cassandra said, her words tumbling over each other. Everyone watches me, I can't even make one mistake without. This was not a mistake, Judy interrupted, this was intent. The room shifted, whatever sympathy had been lingering clouded over. Cassandra collapsed slightly into her chair, fingers digging into the edge until her knuckles washed white. Ms. Brell, Judy said, placing the messages aside, is there something in these texts you don't want read aloud? Cassandra tried to speak, nothing came out. Her silence was its own confession. Because the next page, Judy said softly, changes the entire balance of this case. On it, a message showing that Cassandra fully expected her father's position to shield her from any fallout, proof that this wasn't just a heated impulse. It was calculated. Please, Cassandra's voice cracked, don't read that one. Judy had already lifted the page, she didn't need to shout, her quiet made the moment feel colder. The courtroom leaned in, 100 people sharing one breath. Cassandra pressed her palms flat against the table. The mask was gone, no smirk, no eye roll, no armor. Just someone realizing that her own words were about to become the loudest voice in the room. Ms. Brell, Judy said, looking at her, truth cannot be begged away. You don't understand, Cassandra whispered. That text, if you read it, they'll twist me. Judy gave no reply. She turned the page outward, revealing the line Cassandra feared most, then read it aloud. If this blows up, Dad will handle everything, judges love him, I'm untouchable. The words didn't just land, they hit like a collapse. The gallery gasped, the cameras might as well have frozen, even the lights felt harsher. Danny stared at Cassandra not with hatred, but with the quiet ache of realizing the way she'd been treated hadn't been accidental. It was deliberate. Cassandra covered her face with one shaking hand. I didn't mean it like that, she insisted weakly. I was just overwhelmed. Everyone treats me like I'm supposed to be perfect, like I'm supposed to act better than. Act, Judy cut in, voice cool, or believe. Cassandra's gaze snapped up, eyes rimmed in red. You think I enjoy this, she demanded. You think I enjoy being watched while I fail. No, Judy said, I think you enjoyed being watched while you won. The room shifted again, quiet, uncomfortable, true. I'm not a monster, Cassandra whispered, I just wanted to feel powerful at least once. Power, Judy replied, leaning forward, is not about feeling strong because others feel small. Power is responsibility, and you used yours to harm. Cassandra trembled now, really trembled. I don't know why I said those things. Then let's find out, Judy murmured, starting now. She let that hang for a beat, then asked the question that sliced through everything Cassandra had left. Is this how you see the justice system, as your personal shield? The words landed harder than any piece of paper could. Cassandra opened her mouth, but no sound followed. For once, it was her silence that said the most. Do you believe remorse alone erases guilt? The narrator might ask you, or does real justice still demand consequence even when the apology comes late? A sharp knock pulled every eye to the side door, formal, deliberate. The bailiff stepped forward, accepting a sealed envelope from a courier dressed in the governor's colors. The gold emblem stamped in wax caught the light, a symbol of influence, a shadow of power sliding into the courtroom. Hope flared over Cassandra's face. She wiped at her tears quickly, like salvation had just arrived with a seal. The bailiff handed the envelope to Judge Judy. Judy cracked the wax in a single, steady motion. The subtle pop sent a shiver down Cassandra's spine. It's from my father's team, Cassandra whispered. They're going to explain, they'll clear things up. Judy unfolded the note and read, her face unchanged. No hint of approval, no flash of anger, just judicial stillness. This, she said at last, tapping the paper, is a request for leniency. It cites perceived misunderstandings and the pressures of public life. Cassandra exhaled, almost relieved. Yes, exactly, that's what I've been trying to. Judy raised a hand. It also claims your actions have been misrepresented by the media and asks the court to consider your unique personal burden. A low hum rippled through the room. Some people leaned closer. Others rolled their eyes, sensing a familiar script of power trying to protect its own. Cassandra nodded quickly. Yes, that's what I mean, this isn't fair. But, Judy continued, her tone flattening, nowhere in this letter do they deny your behavior. Nowhere do they express remorse. Nowhere do they mention the actual harm done. Cassandra's mouth fell open. The foundation she'd been waiting to stand on wasn't there. This note, Judy said coolly, sliding it away, is not truth, it is political insulation. The words struck like ice water. My father is trying to help, Cassandra whispered, that's all. No, Judy replied, eyes narrowing. Your father is trying to protect an image, you are the one trying to hide behind it. The silence that followed was suffocating. You don't understand, Cassandra said, voice beginning to shake again. Everyone expects me to be perfect, to represent him, to carry everything. Expectations, Judy said, do not excuse abuse. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, Cassandra insisted, softer now. Not intentionally, Judy asked, not cruelly, just deeply. She paused. Answer me honestly, Ms. Brell, did you contact your father asking him to intervene in this case? The question hovered like a blade. Cassandra's lips parted, the truth trembled on the edge, the whole room leaned forward with it. Her shoulders slumped. I did, she whispered. Those 3 words hadn't stopped echoing when the rest of her composure broke. Her shoulders folded in like the truth weighed too much to sit up straight under. Judge Judy watched closely, the way you watch a glass that's starting to crack. Cassandra's breathing came shallow and quick. She dragged the back of her hand under her eyes, streaking what little mascara remained. Somewhere between the power she used to throw around and the reality facing her now, she'd lost the performance. Ms. Brell, Judy said more softly, you called your father because you thought he could fix this. Cassandra nodded, quick and jerky. Yes, I thought he'd make it go away. Danny exhaled, a small sound, hurt, yes, but also the strange relief that comes when the truth is finally spoken. Why, Judy asked, did you believe that? Because he always has, Cassandra said helplessly. Every fight, every mess, every rumor, he told me not to worry, that he'd handle it, that people would listen to him. Her voice cracked. And they did, every time. Whispers folded through the benches, not all cruel, some almost sympathetic. Mara, still in the witness chair, watched her old friend with hollow eyes. She had seen this coming long before anyone else did. You know what it's like, Cassandra whispered, shaking, to be told over and over that you matter because of him, that people respect you because of him, that consequences there for other people. Her voice fell apart on the last word. When you hear that enough, you start to believe it, you start to live like it. Judy didn't look away. And when the world doesn't match that belief, Cassandra went on, broken and honest now, it feels like drowning, all those eyes on you, all that expectation, and when you mess up, everyone sees it, everyone waits for it. The silence that followed wasn't angry, it was weary. Ms. Bell, Judy asked quietly, why are you really here today? Cassandra stared down at the polished wood, watching tears drip and spread. Because I lost control, she said at last. Because I hurt someone who didn't deserve it, and because I didn't know how to stop myself. The courtroom stilled completely. Judy studied her not with fury but with something closer to recognition. There was more, she could feel it. Is there anything else, she asked, anything you haven't said? Cassandra froze. Her lips parted, her eyes filled, and for the first time since she walked in, she spoke without ego, without image, without her last name. There is something else, she whispered, something I've never told anyone. The air tightened. Mara's fingers gripped the edge of the stand, Danny held her breath. Judy leaned in. I targeted her, Cassandra said, voice cracking, because she reminded me of who I used to be before power changed me. That confession didn't just hang in the air. It haunted it. The line, I targeted her because she reminded me of who I used to be, hit like shrapnel. No one in that room was untouched by it. Mara's eyes overflowed immediately, not with outrage, with grief for a friend she'd already mourned while she was still alive. Danny sat completely still, fingers resting lightly against her lips. It wasn't the attack itself that stunned her anymore, it was the reason. Judge Judy didn't move. She let the truth ricochet around the room until it finally settled. Cassandra wiped her face with shaking hands. Makeup streaked across her cheeks, but she didn't even try to fix it. The governor's daughter, who walked in like the world owed her something, now looked like any other young woman stripped of every mask. I saw her, Cassandra said, nodding toward Danny, working hard, smiling, just being normal, being liked. Her throat clenched. I used to be that way before everything became about him, before I became this. She gestured at herself, like her own reflection disgusted her. Danny's expression shifted. The pain was still there, but now another feeling crept in, something like reluctant empathy. You hurt me, Danny said softly, her voice thin but unwavering. But I didn't deserve to be your reminder. I know, Cassandra said quickly, tears spilling again. I know I hated myself that day, and instead of facing that, I punished you for it. A raw ache moved across the gallery. Judge Judy eased her shoulders back, her voice steady. Ms. Brell, insight into why you did something is not redemption. It's the starting line of responsibility. Cassandra lifted her eyes, red and pleading. I didn't know how to ask for help, she said. I didn't know how to say I felt like I was disappearing behind him, that I only mattered if I was his daughter and nothing else. Mara's breath hitched. Cass, you could have told me. I tried, Cassandra said, shaking her head. Every time I started, the cameras came out, the expectations kicked in, and I picked image over honesty, over you, over me. Danny's eyes glossed. Then why take it out on me, she asked, her voice cracking. Why me? Cassandra met her gaze, no arrogance, no defense, just a bruised, ugly truth. Because you were still allowed to be yourself, she said. And I was jealous in a way I didn't even understand until it was too late. You could feel that land. Judge Judy breathed in slowly, then reached for a folder, the last one. Then let's decide, she said gently, what accountability looks like. She set the final report down, tapped it once. This document, she said, will outline the cost of what you did. And that's where everything shifted, from why to what now. Judge Judy set the final report down on the bench with a slow, controlled motion, the kind that tells everyone in the room, we're done arguing about what happened. Now we measure what it cost. Cassandra's breath snagged in her chest. Because cost, it's never just dollars on a page. The gallery leaned in as Judy opened the folder. Clean white pages, black ink, no drama, just the cold record of a moment Cassandra once believed she could erase with her last name. This report, Judy began, adjusting her glasses, details the financial, operational, and emotional impact of your actions at the cafe. Cassandra straightened for a second, but the effort dropped from her shoulders almost immediately. She didn't look like someone ready to fight anymore, she looked like someone bracing for impact. Property damage, Judy read, $61.84, equipment replacement $238, staff cleanup and repair time $181, lost product $43. The numbers were small, the meaning behind them was not. Across the aisle, Danny watched quietly, lips pressed into a thin line, her hands knotted together. Every figure Judy listed was a scene she remembered, the ruined drinks, the broken items, the shift she'd finished with tears in her eyes. Judy went on. Lost wages for Ms. Rivera, she said, glancing up. After being sent home due to distress, $96. Cassandra flinched like that number had struck her physically. Her eyes glossed with tears again, but this time she didn't interrupt, not once. And finally, Judy added, we come to documented emotional harm. The entire room drew in a collective breath. Emotional damage always weighed more than broken objects. Judy turned fully toward Danny. Ms. Rivera, she said, voice steady, would you like to speak to that portion? Danny hesitated. She wasn't used to rooms this big, this bright, this full of strangers staring at her, but after a heartbeat, she nodded. Her voice trembled at the start. I didn't sleep for days after it happened, she said softly. I just kept replaying it over and over, wondering what I'd done wrong, why someone who didn't even know me seemed to hate me so much. Cassandra covered her mouth with her hand as tears spilled over. I was scared I'd lose my job, Danny continued. Scared customers who filmed it would post it, that my manager would blame me. I felt tiny, like I didn't matter at all, like I was disposable. Her voice cracked, but she kept going. It wasn't just the mess on the floor, it was how she made me feel like I was nothing. Soft murmurs moved through the gallery. Some people looked down, blinking hard. Judy nodded slowly. Thank you, Ms. Rivera, she said. Your courage is noted. She turned back to Cassandra, whose face was streaked with mascara, eyes swollen, shoulders sagging under the weight of what she'd just heard. Ms. Brell, Judy said, her tone firm but not cruel, the financial part of this, that's easy to count. The emotional cost lives inside the person you harmed, that will never fit neatly on paper. I know, Cassandra whispered, I'm so sorry. Judy didn't rush to accept it. She just let the apology hang there, neither fully rejected nor fully absolved. We are approaching judgment, she said finally, closing the folder. Before I rule, I will give you one last opportunity to speak. Cassandra blinked, startled. Me, she asked weakly. Yes, Judy replied, say whatever is left unsaid. This time, fear wasn't about punishment, it was about honesty. For the first time all day, Cassandra looked more afraid of her own words than of the verdict. She took a shaky breath, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear with trembling fingers. Danny watched her carefully, still hurt but no longer invisible. Mara, seated nearby, sat braced, sensing the moment they were all about to step into. Cassandra started but nothing came out, her throat closed up. Judge Judy waited, no sigh, no pressure, just stillness that quietly demanded truth. Cassandra swallowed hard and tried again. I want to apologize, she whispered. The words were fragile, but they were real. This isn't easy for me, she said, not because I don't want to say it, but because I'm realizing how long it's been since I said anything honest at all. Her gaze flicked to the folded letter from her father's team. It suddenly looked small, powerless. My whole life I've been told to keep my chin up, smile, perform, be flawless, she said. And somewhere along the way I mixed up perfection with superiority. I thought pressure was permission. Danny's eyes burned with tears. I hurt you because I was hurting, Cassandra continued, voice shaking, but that doesn't excuse it. I made you feel small because I felt small and I thought stepping on you would make me stand taller. She exhaled, shaking from the inside out. I am sorry, really, not because there are cameras here, not because I got caught, but because I'm finally seeing who I turned into and it scares me. Her gaze drifted toward Mara, who brushed away a tear in silence. I'm sorry to you too, Cassandra said, her voice splintering. I lost the only real friend I had because I didn't know how to be one. She took a breath that almost broke her. I don't want to hide behind my father anymore. I don't want people to flinch when they hear my name. I don't want to be someone people hate or fear. I want to change, I just don't know how yet. Judy studied her quietly. Compassion was there, buried under the job she had to do, but it was there. Admitting the harm, she said softly, is not the finish line, it is the first step. Cassandra nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. I accept whatever you decide, she whispered. I just hope that someday I can become someone I'm not ashamed of. The gallery fell deeply silent. Even the cameras felt different now, less like spotlights on a scandal and more like witnesses to a turning point. Judge Judy lifted her gavel, posture straight, eyes clear. It is time for judgment, she said. Cassandra froze, Danny squeezed her hands together, Mara held her breath. The gavel hovered, a tiny distance of wood holding the past on one side and consequence on the other. Consider this, the narrator might say, can real change grow just from regret, or does accountability have to water those roots? When the gavel finally struck, the sound wasn't loud or theatrical, it was measured, final, a line drawn. Ms. Brell, Judge Judy began, voice firm but strangely gentle, this court rules not only on your actions but on what you choose to learn from them. Cassandra lowered her eyes, tears still there but held back. She no longer resembled the girl who had strutted into the room. She seemed smaller but more honest. You are ordered, Judy continued, reading from the bench, to pay full restitution for all damages to the cafe. This includes property loss, cleanup expenses, and Ms. Rivera's lost wages. Cassandra nodded immediately, almost gratefully. Each amount sounded more like a debt she'd been needing to repay. In addition, Judy said, you will issue a written public apology, not only to Ms. Rivera but to the staff present that day and to the community your position is supposed to represent. Cassandra's breath trembled. Yes, Your Honor, she said, I will. And finally, Judy went on, leaning in slightly, you will complete community service hours at a public service facility. Your father's position will not be mentioned, your name will earn you nothing special. You will work as any other volunteer. A low, surprised murmur rolled through the room, approval, shock, maybe even relief. Danny let out a slow breath, her shoulders dropped as if a knot inside her had finally come undone. I understand, Cassandra said, voice cracking, and I accept. Judy watched her closely, scanning for arrogance, for a flinch of resistance. There was none. Ms. Brell, she said, her tone softening into something deeply human, you walked into this courtroom believing power could shield you, but true authority, true dignity comes from accountability, not immunity. Cassandra nodded again, tears falling freely now. I know that, she whispered, now I do. Danny stepped forward just a bit. Thank you, Your Honor, she said. Her voice was small, but there was strength in it now, the strength of someone finally seen. Judy's eyes warmed ever so slightly. Ms. Rivera, she said, you carried yourself with grace under pressure that would have broken many. That is its own form of courage. A tiny grateful smile touched Danny's face. The room began to breathe again as Judge Judy raised her gavel one last time, not to punish but to close. This matter, she declared, is concluded. She brought the gavel down. The sound echoed not like a blow but like a release. Cassandra rose slowly, she turned toward Danny, for a second their eyes met. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was something, recognition, understanding, a fragile beginning. As people stood and the cameras started to lower, the final reflections settled over the scene like a quiet verdict of its own. Entitlement may scream, ego may perform, but sooner or later justice speaks louder. And on this day in that courtroom it spoke clearly.